Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into The Boys Season 5, Episode 6. And this episode seriously takes things to another level. From a shocking return to major character shifts and a game-changing ending, this might be one of the most important episodes of the entire season. There's a lot to cover, so let's break it all down step by step. The episode opens with something we didn't expect. A comeback from the legend. Now, he's been missing for a while, and instead of returning in power, we find him hiding in plain sight. He's working at a VMC movie theater under a fake name, living a low-key life far from the chaos of Vought. It's honestly kind of sad seeing how far he's fallen from where he used to be. That changes the moment MM shows up. And this isn't some casual reunion. MM is on a mission. The boys are desperate to find Bombsite, and the legend is one of the few people who might actually know something useful. Given his history running Vaught's hero division, he's basically a walking archive of secrets. There's also a really funny moment here that stands out. Inside the theater, we get this parody-style ad that feels like a dramatic cinema commercial, but with that signature, The Boys twist. It's awkward, over the top, and kind of hilarious. Moments like this remind you that even in a dark episode, the show knows how to have fun. But that tone doesn't last long. Things turn serious pretty quickly. The legend is hesitant to help at first, especially considering everything that's happened in the past. But once he realizes Homelander is actively searching for V1, his attitude changes. He understands just how dangerous that is. MM also plays a big role in this scene. He pushes the legend harder than we're used to seeing. There's a shift in his character here. He's starting to act more like Butcher, more aggressive, more willing to cross lines. And that's something the episode keeps hinting at again and again. Meanwhile, over at Vought, things are just as intense. Sage is overseeing another V1 test, while Homelander watches closely. And just like the previous attempts, it ends in failure. Brutal, painful failure. The subject dies in a horrific way, showing just how unstable V1 really is. What makes it worse is Homelander's reaction, or lack of one. He doesn't care. At this point, human life means absolutely nothing to him. It's all about results, power, and control. Then the Deep arrives and gets hit with some heavy news. Firecracker is dead. This adds to Homelander's growing paranoia. He's becoming more unstable, more suspicious of everyone around him. Loyalty is everything now. And if you're not fully committed, you're out. To test that loyalty, Homelander sends a Deep on a mission involving an oil pipeline in Alaska. On the surface, it seems simple, but it's actually a test. The Deep has a strong connection to the ocean and sea life, so this mission directly challenges his identity. But as always, he chooses Homelander. He always does. At the same time, Sage has quietly put her own plan into motion. She's clearly not fully aligned with Homelander anymore. She manipulates Ashley into helping her, even when Ashley resists. Sage always has a backup plan, and she executes it perfectly. This leads to a huge moment. Sage removes her tracking chip. That's her officially cutting ties with Vought. No turning back now. And just like that, the game changes. Back with the boys, the team decides to split up in order to move faster and cover more ground. Frenchie manages to recreate the virus, which becomes their biggest weapon moving forward. The plan is risky but simple. Use the virus at the church where multiple soups, including Homelander, are expected to gather. Annie and Huey are given the task of planting it using an air freshener device that will release it into the air. At the same time, the rest of the group focuses on tracking down Golden Geisha, who is Bombsite's ex. She might be the only person who can lead them to him. But as expected, things don't go smoothly. When they find her, she refuses to cooperate, shutting down any attempt to get information. This forces Butcher and MM to take a darker approach. They decide to kidnap her instead. This is where things start to feel uncomfortable, especially for the legend. Watching MM go along with this plan hits him hard. MM used to stand against these kind of methods, and now he's embracing them. That realization is too much for the legend. He walks away, clearly disappointed in what MM has become. Later that night, the situation escalates. The boys attempt to capture Geisha, but they run into unexpected resistance. The retirement home is filled with elderly soups, and they don't go down without a fight. What follows is a chaotic and bizarre action sequence, mixing dark humor with intense moments. Despite the chaos, the boys manage to take Geisha with them. But the victory doesn't last long. Once they're back at their hideout, she reveals that she hasn't been in contact with Bombsite for years. Just like that, their lead disappears. Then comes a major twist. Sage shows up. Her arrival changes everything. She claims she wants to help the boys stop Homelander. It's an incredibly risky move to trust her, given her history. But the boys don't have many options left. They decide to take the chance, even though it could easily backfire. Meanwhile, Annie and Huey's mission at the church starts to fall apart. When they arrive, they discover that Firecracker is already dead. Annie's reaction is unexpected. She feels sympathy instead of relief. It shows that despite everything, she still holds onto her humanity. Things get worse when Annie is confronted and ends up in a fight she can't win on her own. Huey steps in at the last moment, using the virus as leverage. He bluffs, claiming Annie has already taken the antidote, and somehow it works. They manage to escape, but the mission itself fails completely. Out in Alaska, the deep situation turns into a nightmare. The pipeline incident causes massive destruction in the ocean, killing countless sea creatures. Because of the connection to them, he feels every single loss. Then comes a shocking reveal. Noir was responsible for the sabotage, and that changes everything. The revelation about Noir pushes the deep over the edge. For a character who's always been desperate for approval and validation, this moment completely breaks him. He doesn't think, he doesn't hesitate. He just reacts. In a sudden and brutal outburst, he kills Noir. It's quick, violent, and honestly a bit shocking in how fast it happens. Now, the Deep has a massive problem on his hands. He's killed a member of the Seven without permission, and there's no easy way to explain that to Homelander. On top of that, he's lost his emotional connection to the ocean, which has always been a core part of who he is. As we move toward the final part of the episode, Sage's larger plan begins to take shape. She manipulates events so that Soldier Boy and Homelander are forced into a confrontation. She uses emotional triggers tied to their past to push things in that direction. For a moment, it works. The tension between them explodes, and it feels like everything is about to fall apart. But instead of finishing the fight, Soldier Boy walks away. It's an unexpected move that leaves Homelander frustrated and confused. Homelander then tracks down the legend again, demanding answers. But something surprising happens here. Instead of being afraid, the legend speaks honestly. He tells Homelander the truth, that no one stays on top forever, and that even someone as powerful as him can't escape time. And instead of reacting with violence, Homelander respects it. He lets the legend go, which is rare and says a lot about how he views fear and honesty. That moment leads Homelander to the boys' location. Back at the hideout, we finally meet Bombsite. His arrival shifts everything immediately. He's powerful, confident, and clearly not someone the boys can handle easily. He tries to convince Golden Geisha to join him and take V1 so they can live forever together, but she refuses. Her reasoning is simple, but powerful. Living forever isn't a gift. It's a curse. Watching everyone you love grow old and die while you stay the same isn't a life she wants. This idea connects deeply with the rest of the group. The theme of mortality runs throughout the episode, and this moment really brings it to the surface. Then the action kicks in again. Soldier Boy arrives and engages Bombsite in a full-on fight. He clearly has the upper hand, dominating most of the battle. But just when it looks like he's about to kill him, he stops. Instead, he removes Bombsite's powers, giving him a chance to live as a normal human being. That moment feels like a turning point, like maybe things are finally shifting in a more hopeful direction. But that feeling doesn't last long at all, because Homelander shows up, and everything changes instantly. Instead of destroying the V1, Soldier Boy makes a choice that no one expected. He hands it over to Homelander. No hesitation, no doubt, just a decision that completely alters the course of the story. Homelander takes the V1 and injects it into himself. And within seconds, you can see the difference. He's not just stronger, he's something beyond that now. The energy, the presence, everything about him feels different. The boys don't even try to fight. They know it's pointless. They run, because it's the only option they have left. And just like that, Homelander becomes nearly unstoppable. Now, everything comes down to what happens next. With Homelander at his most powerful state, and Soldier Boy seemingly on his side, the balance is completely broken. The boys are outmatched in every possible way. Their only real advantage now is Sage. But trusting her comes with its own risks. She's incredibly intelligent, but she's also unpredictable. Her plan has gotten them this far, but it didn't play out exactly as she expected either. There's also the big question, why did Soldier Boy do it? Why give Homelander the V1 instead of destroying it? Part of it seems emotional, his connection to the past, his complicated feelings about family, and maybe even a desire to feel like a father in control. Instead of tearing Homelander down, he chose to elevate him, and that might be the most dangerous decision of all. Now the boys are left with almost no options. The virus is still in play, but using it could have massive consequences. is already struggling with that idea, questioning whether crossing that line is really worth it. At the same time, the episode keeps returning to a deeper theme, mortality. Several characters are starting to realize that living forever might not actually be a blessing, that accepting the end might be what gives life meaning. But none of that changes the situation they're in right now. Homelander is stronger than ever, and time is running out. With only 2 episodes left, everything is building toward a massive finale. The stakes have never been higher, and if this episode proved anything, it's that nothing is guaranteed. No one is safe. And whatever comes next, it's going to be insane.